Hello, I'm Deanna Herron, host of the Deanna Herron Podcast Show. Have you ever wanted to do something bold, like start a business, write a book, or go for your dream job? This show was created for women just like you who want to be bold, shine bright with grace. My goal is to educate you, inspire you, and empower you with ideas that can transform your life. Be inspired by the Deanna Herron Podcast Show at deannaherron.net. This is Deanna Herron, and I want to welcome you to the first Deanna Herron Podcast Show. This show is created for the woman who wants to be bold, to shine bright with grace. My goal is to educate you, inspire you, and empower you with ideas that can transform your life. So welcome to my first podcast. August 28th, 2020 is a very special date to me because exactly 4 years ago, I heard that voice telling me that I needed to start a podcast and write a book. I wasn't owning my story. So through the last 4 years, God has done amazing work on my heart and in my spirit and a lot of personal growth to get me to where I am today. A little bit about me, I'm married to an amazing man, Mark, for the last 28 years. I have 3 incredible adult children. I'm trained as a physician's assistant turned entrepreneur and a successful real estate investor. But truly, my heart's desire is to impact you in ways that you will truly see the you God intended you to be. So my tagline is be bold, shine bright with grace. So what does that mean? Being bold means stepping into your greatness, feeling the fear and doing it anyway. Shine bright, you are a light for the world to see. Let your light shine. With grace. This is one that I think all women need a little bit more of. I know I sure did when I started this podcast and on this journey to the podcast and writing the book. And we have to know that we all make mistakes. And mistakes are not mistakes if you learn from them. They're called life experiences. When we are able to give our own selves grace, we will be able to extend that to others. I wanted to start the first podcast with something that has really influenced and impacted me over the last 4 years and truly for my entire life. But the last 4 years, it has been incredible getting to this point. And that is your belief system. And it's working with your belief system. So let me ask you a few questions. Have you ever been in a place of self-doubt? Maybe low self-confidence? Feelings of unworthiness, and perhaps feeling incapable of doing something. I know I have experienced those and many, many more. And so what I want to talk to you about today is 2 ideas that can flip that switch on your belief system so that you can experience the success that you really want in life, no matter what that is. Let me share with you a few things that I know about beliefs that I've studied for many, many years. First of all, beliefs are developed. They're actually developed filters through which we see life and ourselves. And so we've all heard of rose-colored glasses. When you put on rose-colored glasses, you see the world through a very optimistic viewpoint. And sometimes it's overinflated, right? But what if you were to put on glasses that have dark lenses? You would actually see life in the world through a negative view. And that's something that we want to flip. We all have stories that we tell ourselves that are either lifting us up or tearing us down. And we want to have those stories more frequently lift us up. So the thing that I'm most excited about with our beliefs is they're changeable. Isn't that exciting? So we can actually change the way that we think about ourselves and we think about the world, because most of our thoughts are false beliefs that are just running on their own on a consistent basis. So I want to talk to you about how you can change your belief system. And I'm going to give you 2 tips that have been very instrumental for me. I'm going to tell you there are so many ways and that you can impact your belief system. I just have time to talk to you about 2, and these are the 2 most important to me during this time. So the first tip is, when you go for those big dreams, those big goals, your desires, your passions, I want you to know that we all will experience what I call a crisis of belief. And what that means is you go for your big dream, and see if you could relate to this, and all of a sudden you're super excited about this goal, this dream, but then you're overcome with these fears of, I don't have the skill set. What am I thinking? This is something that I know nothing about. I'm fearful to do something different, to step out of my comfort zone, or even you're fearful of what other people will think. And that's one that typically gets us. But the thing about a crisis of belief is the crisis is actually your choice. And it's your choice whether you want to listen to those negatives or whether you want to move forward and feel the fear and do it anyway. So you have that choice. One thing that I want to share with you that I think is so powerful is we have a choice on which direction we want to go in our life. You can either move forward or you can stay right where you are. But most of the time, truly, what happens in our life is if we're not moving forwards, we're moving backward. I want you to imagine yourself in your vehicle, you're in the driver's seat, and you're headed to a destination, and you're reading a map to that destination. And that map is going to take you exactly where you want to go. You're in charge of your life. Now, on the flip side, I want you to imagine yourself in the back seat of that car. You're headed to a destination, but you have a person sitting in the front that's driving you. And that could be someone who you're worried about what they think on your destination. Maybe it's a fear that you have. Maybe you have a spouse that isn't supportive, or maybe you're thinking, I'm not worthy to go on this journey. What we are saying in that situation is that you're not in the driver's seat of your destiny. You're not in the driver's seat of your life. You're giving it over to fears and insecurities. Isn't that crazy? So I want to tell you a story about a precious person in my life. Her name is Carol, and she is one of my coaches, and she coaches me on how to take hold of my emotions so that I can move forward in a positive direction. Okay, having more positive energy. And what she talked about the first time that we were on a call, she said to me, why do you want to coach with me? Because I want to make sure that what you get is what you're expecting. And I told her, I said, Carol, I am called to write a book about my story of my childhood growing up, my story of obstacles, my story of leadership development and personal growth and development. And it's real, it's raw, and it's uncomfortable. And I know that I have to push forward through this because I was told that again 4 years ago. And I want to make sure that I'm pushing through this in a positive direction and that I allow nothing else to get in my way. I want to be the driver of this situation. And she said to me, Deanna, I want to ask you one question. How many lives could have been impacted had you written the book the first time 10 years ago? And I was quiet on the other end of that phone, and all I could say was, wow. Wow. Because at that point, what I had realized is I was making it all about me, all about my fears, all about my insecurities, all about what I don't have, instead of focusing on those that could be impacted with and through my story. How many lives could be changed and impacted if you are to go for that bigger dream? If you are to put yourself in the driver's seat and get rid of that fear, get rid of that self-doubt, and move forward. So that is the crisis of belief. And what I want you to know about that is you will have it. And so when you're aware that you will have it, you will be able to make that choice on which way you're going to go. The second tip I want to share with you is how to retrain your brain. And I love this because that means that we can retrain our brain. I am a little bit of a science geek, just a little bit. That's why I went into medicine. So I want to share with you something that I think is really important that would be beneficial for you to know when we're retraining your brain. Most of you may know that we have a subconscious mind and we have a conscious mind. So the conscious mind is the thoughts that we think that we're aware of. So we're actually aware of these thoughts that we're thinking. The subconscious mind, we're not aware of the thoughts that are going through the subconscious mind. But the interesting thing is 98% of the thoughts that we hear throughout the day are from the subconscious mind. So we want to make sure what we're putting in that subconscious mind is positive and uplifting, right? But here's the great part of this. The conscious mind, what we're aware of that we're thinking, it chooses what goes into the subconscious by how often we are thinking those thoughts. So what if we change your brain to think positive thoughts often so that it switches over to that subconscious mind? And that's what I love about what I'm going to teach you to do in order to change those thoughts. And that is affirmations. And I know some of you are going, oh, she didn't say affirmations, did she? And I have to be really honest with you. When I first heard about affirmations, it was probably 20 years ago that I'd heard about affirmations. I just remember throughout the years of hearing about affirmations, the only thing that I could relate it to is there's a Saturday Night Live skit, and some of you, I may be aging myself, some of you may have heard or seen this Saturday Night Live skit. It's Stuart Smalley, and I can't remember exactly what he says, but he says, I am smart, I am beautiful. I don't know what he said on that one. And doggone it, people like me. And so that was my view of what an affirmation was. And I really didn't take it seriously. But learning more about the brain and how our neural pathways can be changed in a positive direction, I decided to incorporate it into my life. And it's made a huge difference. So I want you to think about the fears that you have, and we're going to counteract those with your affirmations. So for example, maybe you want to be a person of influence. Your affirmation for that would be, I am a person of influence. Maybe you want to be a great leader. Your affirmation would be, I am a great leader. What about someone who earns 6 figures a year? I am a person that earns 6 figures a year, or maybe 6 figures a month. I am a person who earns 6 figures a month. You want to start with I am. And let me tell you something powerful about the word I am. When you are speaking of yourself, I am, you are actually speaking of the great I am, God. Do you want God to hear good things about you? Or do you want God to hear negative things about you? I don't know about you, but I want him to hear more positive things from me. So think about that. And when you say your affirmations, here's how I want you to say them. I am a person of influence. I am a great leader. I am a powerful person. You want to say them boldly, out loud, with passion, because when you say them boldly out loud with passion, you can actually feel that energy within you. I'm going to challenge you to read your affirmations out loud 3 times a day. Retrain that brain. And that means repeat, repeat, repeat. So After this podcast, I'm going to encourage you to go ahead and write those affirmations out on a piece of paper, on your computer, however you want to read them, and make the commitment to read them 3 times a day. Do it for a month and see what happens. Here's what happened with me is I read them 3 times out loud for 30 days. I had to change my affirmations because the affirmations that I had written, I now believed, and so I needed to change them to something else. Isn't that amazing that that can happen? Read them out loud 3 times a day. Write your affirmations. So let's repeat a little bit about what we have heard. So the 2 tips are you will experience a crisis of belief. So just know that it's coming. And secondly is retrain your brain with affirmations and do it daily. I am going to encourage you, like I said, write them right after this podcast. And if you will take a selfie of yourself, tag me and write the word on your post that says affirmations done, and I will repost that in my story. So selfie of yourself, tag me at Deanna Herron, and write out the words affirmations done, because I'd love to see how many of you will actually follow through with that. It'll change your life. I'm going to read to you something that I think is super powerful about what we've been talking about today. It is written by a woman named Marianne Williamson. A lot of people think this came from Nelson Mandela because he said this in one of his most amazing speeches. But I want you to know Marianne Williamson so that if you want to copy it, find this and print off a copy, you'll know who to search. That's where I found it. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so other people won't feel insecure around you. You are meant to shine. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone, and that means you too. You were meant to shine. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same, impacting others. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. I want you to know that there are lives out there that are depending on you for their future. You need to step up big because there are people out there that are waiting for you to make that impact. If you have enjoyed what you have heard today, it would mean the world to me if you would subscribe to this podcast, share it with your friends and family, and if you think this was valuable, give me a 5-star review. Write out your affirmations again, and I want you to tag me with the words affirmations done. I'd love to see a selfie of you. That would be amazing. If you would love to have a copy of my own personal affirmations, you can go to deannaherron.net, download them for free. They may help you with how to move forward with your own affirmations. And then lastly, follow me on Instagram at Deanna Herron. I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for joining me on my first podcast. God bless you, and we'll see you next time. Be inspired by the Deanna Herron podcast show at deannaherron.net.